Hi, so have you always wondered what the difference is between fostering and adoption? Maybe you're interested in both or one or the other. My name's Nyree, I'm running an adoption support channel. I've been both a foster carer and an adopter, currently an adopter, and so I just wanted to run through a few basic differences for you so you can get an understanding of it, and maybe you can think about whether one or the other would be more suitable for you. So fostering is always rewarded, has a monetary reward for it. It varies according to the children you take, where you are, but there's always some sort of money coming in, and so if you're thinking of fostering, it would be really handy for you to work out exactly what that is. And obviously with adoption, you are having the children, you're going to take them into your home, you're going to be their parents, so there isn't monetary reward involved. However, there can be some applications made for some children that are harder to place where there is some money put in place, but generally speaking that's not going to happen. The second thing to say to you is, in foster care, fostering services, whatever you call it where you are never in charge of that child. It's always the government, the local authority, the state that the child belongs to. So whilst they're in your home, they don't belong to you, and that means that you have to go and ask lots of advice and lots of questions lots of the time. So the social worker of the child is the person to make decisions for the child. Now for some that might be a really good thing, because you're not alone. You've got someone to go and ask, and you've got someone to check things through with. The ultimate responsibility is not yours for the well-being of the child, but for others that's really intrusive. And for adoption, of course, after everything's done and gone, and everything's gone through the court, there is nobody to ask. They are yours, and you can make all the decisions about what you want to do with that child for good. So for some people that's more what they would prefer to do. So the other side of it is as well, number 3, is that when you're fostering, you're always ready for the children to move on. And that might happen really quickly. If it's a baby, there might be a quick turnaround, or it might be a lot longer. It could be 2-3 years. It might even be though that you go for long-term fostering and you know you're going to have that child right the way through their childhood. So in that case, I guess they're not going to move on. But most of the time, foster carers are prepared for that time when a child is going to move on. Again, that could be seen as a positive, because if there are problems or you're not kind of attaching or bonding to the child, you know they're going to move on, and it kind of takes the pressure off. But for some people, they might hate the thought of that, hate the thought of attaching to a child and then a child being moved. And therefore, as an adopter, you don't have to face that. The child is yours, it's entirely yours, as if you gave birth to them, and you're never going to have to move them on or pass them on to anyone. So it's a much more permanent situation. And even if a child is in long-term fostering, it doesn't have that permanent feel to it as adoption does. I mean, having fostered the boys that we now have adopted, I can honestly say it does feel very different from a permanent kind of view. Now this one's a bit more tricky. So I would have said back along that foster carers would get a lot more training, and they have to do a lot more training. So as foster carers, we were asked to do mandatory training every year and then top it up with other things that we chose. When we started fostering, it seemed to be that we would get a better level of support from training than if we were adopters. But I do think things have changed in our country anyway, and I think adopters are offered more opportunities for training, and the adoption fund has also opened up lots of opportunities for children to have therapy. So I don't know what it's like where you are, but maybe you can get training as an adopter. But my general feeling would be, as a foster carer, training would be there that you would have to do, and there is a pressure on you to do that. Now again, some people would like that, some people would hate that, and as an adopter, of course, you're not made to do anything once you've done your adoption training and you've gone through the assessment process. You never have to do any more training, reading, anything ever again, because you're just a normal family and you're not required to do extras once the child is yours. So again, that's very, very different. Now I alluded to this final point before, Having fostered and adopted the same children, I can honestly say I cannot believe the difference between one and the other. I really feel that adoption has a very different feel to it than fostering. There's something very complete, unique, permanent, all-embracing about adoption that fostering just cannot give you. So yes, they're the same children, but actually when our final adoption certificate came through for them, it felt very different. It did feel like a weight was off of our shoulders. No more visits all the time from social workers, no more compliance of this, that and the other, no more kind of pressure to do certain training, to go to certain meetings. So for us, it felt like a really good thing. Now our boys present great challenges for us, so the only thing to say about it is we are on our own. We have got this life now where we need to sort out what we need to sort out as a family, and for some people that's just a step too far. You know, maybe you're a little older, maybe you don't want that commitment, maybe you would rather care for children short term and not have that pressure. So it's a good thing for us, but for some people that might not be a good thing. It may be just that step too far, because when they're in your family, they're in your family. There's no going back. So guys, I hope those 5 points help you to kind of distinguish between the two. Both are excellent, both are commendable, and in a way one is not better than the other, because both is needed so much in pretty much every country. Both is needed. So if you're thinking of moving ahead to one or the other, don't hold back. Check out my channel anyway. There's not much on there about fostering because I'm now an adopter, but many of the subject areas are quite generic. So especially if you look at childhood abuse playlist, attachment playlist, therapeutic parenting, it's still helpful if you wanted to go into fostering. So thank you for watching.